there are two ways. One, if you have not filled your DAF, then accordingly you should choose your hobbies.
So that's for your own understanding and to give you that strength and the confidence that when you speak, you really know what you're speaking about.
आप एक साइंस के स्टूडेंट रहे हैं, आपने इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड से अपनी ग्रेजुएशन की एंड देन यू हैव शिफ्टेड टू अ सब्जेक्ट विच इज़ फ्रॉम अ ह्यूमैनिटीज़ स्ट्रीम. तो आपने वो शिफ्ट क्यों किया?
The interview is not an interrogation method. It is expose the candidate to a certain scenario and then elicit his or her frank opinion.
Especially in the interview, the last part of your DAF, which mentions your hobbies, the person's, the different achievements, prizes, medals, etc., that is given. The way you have filled up, so you got to have not a very deep knowledge of those particular things, like say for example in hobbies, for example if you have given singing as your hobby, then you should know the different types of music. Like in India, we have a Carnatic music, we have classical music, North Indian music. So some idea of different forms of music also should be there. Maybe a candidate has written diary writing as his hobby. So the basis of diary writing, how it originated, has he read certain books which pertain to diary writing, like say for example, Anne Frank's book is there about the diary of a girl. So similarly, if he has mentioned, say, cricket, he plays cricket, one should have a proper knowledge of various terminologies of cricket, what are the various tournaments in the cricket, and so on. Similarly, there is something like sports and NCC. So if NCC is mentioned, then he should be clear about why NCC is required. There can be a question, should NCC be made compulsory or not? So he should have his own opinion about that particular aspect, whether it should be made compulsory for every individual or not. So now since the DAF has already been filled up by this candidate, so there are two ways. One, if you have not filled your DAF, then accordingly you should choose your hobbies in which you have some knowledge. It's not that any subject you just mentioned or you have taken help from the coaching institute and you write some hobbies which really you are not interested. That will not help, because at times the panel members can go slightly deeper into that particular hobby. Maybe they are themselves pursuing that hobby. So you will be get caught. So one should be very careful while filling up the hobbies and interests in the DAF. And there are other type of students, aspirants, where they have already filled up the DAF. Like, so then you got to have not only the basic knowledge, some depth of knowledge is required in that particular field. So, and you should be ready with the examples also, and who are the other people in that particular field, that also you should do. So I think with this preparation, if one faces the board, and one should be totally honest while giving the interview. So these are the main things which I think will help a candidate in sailing through the interview. Thank you.
International relations is a really fast evolving subject. You know, events are happening, you can't even say every day. I mean, they're really happening every minute. So before you walk into the interview room, you really need to be pretty much up to date about what has happened over the last few hours. So that much at least you should have read up and followed. Of course, going back to how much you should prepare on each topic, that is depending on the time you have and the interest you have. So the better read, the more prepared you are, you know the background, you know the history, your answer will come across that much more confident. So the confidence comes from your preparation. So you can't say that you just read up or the current event, like let's take the Israel-Hamas issue. It's been happening over the last few weeks. But if you really don't know the history of how Israel was created in 1948, so you have to go back to that. So that's for your own understanding and to give you that strength and the confidence that when you speak, you really know what you're speaking about. So of course the panelists will be knowing about all that. They know the background. So if you don't know it, by the time they ask you the second or third question, you may be already on shaky ground. So it is advisable that you are well prepared on any such subject in international relations. There are lots of nuances, so you may be not aware of some nuance, that's okay. But if you're broadly just aware of the absolutely current issue and you really don't know a background, that's also not a very good idea. So in that sense, that's what I wanted to give as a piece of advice.
For any aspirant who is appearing for UPSC Civil Services personality test interview, the updation on current affairs is very essential, and in fact the knowledge on the optional subject which is filled in the DAF form, that is also very, very important. But one thing we have to understand and keep in our mind is that it is not the depth of the concepts, the depth of the subject, because they have already tested your depth and knowledge in the prelims and mains. So what is important is that you have power of assimilation, your logical reasoning, your analytical thinking, your way of responding to the questions, your way of responding to the situation. And एक ये भी सवाल आपसे इंटरव्यू बोर्ड पूछ सकता है कि फॉर एग्जांपल आप एक साइंस के स्टूडेंट रहे हैं, आपने इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड से अपनी ग्रेजुएशन की, एंड देन यू हैव शिफ्टेड टू अ सब्जेक्ट विच इज़ फ्रॉम अ ह्यूमैनिटीज़ स्ट्रीम. तो आपने वो शिफ्ट क्यों किया, और अब जो आपने ऑप्शनल में पढ़ा उसकी नॉलेज आप कैसे एज अ सिविल सर्वेंट आपको लगता है आपको यूज़ करेगी. और इसी के साथ साथ एक क्वेश्चन ये भी हो सकता है कि फिर जो आपकी इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड में जो आपकी नॉलेज आपने गेन की है, क्या आपको लगता है वो वेस्ट जाएगी या उसको भी आप भूले नहीं हैं और उसको भी यूज़ करेंगे. सो बेसिकली जो आपने अभी तक जो नॉलेज गेन की है उसका एप्लीकेशन कैसे होगा, प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशन कैसे होगा, इसके बारे में आपको थोड़ा सा अपना आंसर प्रिपेयर करना चाहिए. एंड ऑल्सो इफ़ देर इज़ एनी रिसेंट अपडेट अबाउट द ऑप्शनल, कोई जो आपके सब्जेक्ट से रिलेटेड कोई नेशनल लेवल में, कोई इंटरनेशनल लेवल में ऐसे कोई इवेंट हुआ हो, कोई ऐसा कुछ चीज़, कोई घटना हुई हो जो आपको लगता है कि पूछी जा सकती है, उसके बारे में प्रिपेयर ज़रूर करें. उसमें कोई इनोवेशन आया हो, कोई किसी ने कोई नया कुछ उसके ऊपर रिसर्च आई हो, स्टडी आई हो, वो भी आपको प्रिपेयर करनी चाहिए. और जहाँ तक बात करंट अफेयर्स की है फ्रेंड्स, तो करंट अफेयर्स डेफिनेटली यू नीड टू अपडेट. एटलीस्ट लास्ट जिस दिन आपका इंटरव्यू है उस दिन का न्यूज़पेपर ज़रूर पढ़ के जाएँ. इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि उस दिन जो अखबार में पढ़ा है, हो सकता है इंटरव्यू बोर्ड का जो पैनल है उसमें आपसे कोई की टॉपिक जो उसमें आया है, अखबार में पब्लिश हुआ है, वो आपसे पूछ ले, तो उस दिन का न्यूज़पेपर ज़रूर पढ़ें. और करंट अफेयर्स को हमें एटलीस्ट लास्ट 15 दिन पहले तक, मतलब अगर आपका इंटरव्यू 15 फरवरी को है तो एटलीस्ट जनवरी एंड तक के तो आपके करंट अफेयर्स अच्छे से प्रिपेयर होने चाहिए. और उसके बाद भी जो कंटेक्स्ट जो चल रहा है वो आपको ध्यान में रखना है. यू शुड नॉट बी पोर्ट्रेइंग योरसेल्फ कि आपको पिछले 15-20 दिन में, एक महीने में जो हो रहा है आप उससे अपडेट अपने आप को नहीं कर पाए, एंड यू आर जस्ट एंग्रॉस्ड इन द प्रिपरेशन ऑफ द इंटरव्यू. सो करंट अफेयर्स की प्रिपरेशन आप मैगज़ीन जो पढ़ते हैं उसको फॉलो कीजिए, जो न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, और उसका एनालिसिस डेफिनेटली दैट इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इन द इंटरव्यू इज़ योर पॉजिटिविटी एंड योर सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस. आप कितने कॉन्फिडेंस से अपने इंटरव्यू बोर्ड को फेस कर रहे हो, कितनी प्लीजिंगली आप विद कॉन्फिडेंस, आप फर्मनेस के साथ वो अपने आंसर्स दे रहे हो, और आपकी जो मेंटल अलर्टनेस है, दैट लॉजिकल रीजनिंग, योर पावर ऑफ एसिमिलेशन एंड प्रेजेंटिंग योर सेल्फ इन अ प्लीजिंग वे. दिस इज ऑल वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट व्हेन यू आर फेसिंग द इंटरव्यू बोर्ड फॉर द UPSC.
In the personality test of a candidate, what the interview board looks for his or her suitability to the job. It is neither a test of the depth of knowledge which one has acquired during either school, college or any other phase in life. How he shapes up by analyzing a situation which is given to him, that is the critical and logical expression of a situation. It is also the power of assimilation. Should feel relaxed while facing the board and enjoy his interview. One need not have answers to all the questions which are asked, but the questions which are asked should be understood. One should frame up his mind, prioritize it, and then give an answer. For this, he or she may take a few seconds and compose himself and answer the question. He should not get overawed by the presence of members of the board. The interview is not an interrogation method. It is expose the candidate to a certain scenario and then elicit his or her frank opinion. One should be truthful to that extent and face the interview board boldly, squarely, and with calmness. This will help a candidate in securing very good marks, which ultimately will add to his performance.